What if the very first sign of Alzheimer's disease isn't memory loss at all? What if it's something far more easily dismissed? A slight change in mood, a small mistake with money, a word that suddenly feels just out of reach. Most people picture Alzheimer's disease as a dramatic moment, someone forgetting their own name or not recognizing a child. But the truth is far quieter and far more important to understand. Long before any of that happens, there are subtle signals, small shifts that families notice, shrug off, and explain away. They're just tired. They've always been a bit scatterbrained. It's probably stress. But what if some of those small moments are actually the earliest whispers of something bigger? In the next few minutes, we're going to walk through 10 early warning signs of Alzheimer's disease. The kind of signs that are easy to miss, but important to know. Not to scare you, but to give you something incredibly valuable. Time. Let's imagine a man named Robert, 63 years old, recently retired, sharp as ever, at least. That's what everyone assumes. One evening, his wife notices he's paid the electricity bill twice in the same month. A small mistake. Easy to explain. A few weeks later, he gets lost driving home from a route he'd taken 1,000 times. He says he was just distracted. Then, at a family dinner, he tells the same story about his old job twice within 20 minutes. Word for word, as if for the first time. None of these moments, on their own, ring any alarm bells. That's exactly the problem. Each one feels small, explainable, forgettable. And that's precisely why early signs of Alzheimer's disease so often go unnoticed for months, sometimes years. Here's what most people don't realize. Alzheimer's disease doesn't begin with a dramatic memory wipe. It begins with subtle disruptions, small inconsistencies in how the brain processes, stores, and retrieves information. And here's the part that makes this so tricky. Many of these early signs overlap with completely normal aging, or with stress, depression, even certain medications. So how do you tell the difference between just getting older and something that deserves a closer look? That's exactly what we're going to break down. Not to make you panic over every misplaced set of keys. We all do that. But to help you recognize patterns. Because here's the thing. When families recognize these patterns early, they don't just get a diagnosis sooner. They get something far more valuable. The chance to plan, to access support, and in some cases, to begin treatments that can help manage symptoms more effectively when started earlier. So let's go through these 10 signs together. Not as a checklist designed to frighten you, but as a map that helps you understand what's worth watching for, and what's simply part of being human. Some of these signs you may recognize immediately. Others might surprise you, and by the end, you'll understand not just what to look for, but why each one matters, and what to do if you notice it. Let's start with sign number 1. Memory loss that disrupts daily life. Everyone forgets things occasionally. Where you put your glasses, a friend's birthday. But in early Alzheimer's disease, the pattern looks different. It's repeatedly asking for the same information, relying heavily on notes or family members for things you used to handle easily, or forgetting recently learned information and not recalling it later, even with reminders. The key word here is disruption. When forgetting starts interfering with daily responsibilities, not just being an occasional slip. Sign number 2. Challenges in planning or solving problems. Think of this like a recipe that suddenly becomes overwhelming. Some people may have trouble following a familiar recipe, keeping track of monthly bills, or concentrating on tasks that involve numbers and multiple steps, like Robert paying that bill twice. It's not that the person has become less intelligent, it's that the brain's ability to plan, sequence, and follow through on multi-step tasks is being affected. Sign number 3. Difficulty completing familiar tasks. This involves everyday activities, driving to a familiar location, managing a budget at work, or remembering the rules of a favorite game. These are tasks the brain has done so many times they should feel automatic. When automatic tasks start requiring conscious effort or get done incorrectly, it's worth paying attention. Sign number 4. Confusion with time or place. This might look like losing track of dates, seasons, or the passage of time. Someone might forget where they are or how they got there. Now, here's an important distinction. Occasionally forgetting what day it is and figuring it out later is normal. Becoming confused about where you are, or how time has passed, in a way that doesn't resolve, is different. Sign number 5. Trouble understanding visual images and spatial relationships. For some people, this is one of the more surprising early signs. It can involve difficulty reading, judging distance, or determining color or contrast, which can affect driving, for instance. This happens because Alzheimer's disease can affect the parts of the brain responsible for processing visual and spatial information, not just memory. Sign number 6. New problems with words in speaking or writing. This is often described as struggling to follow or join a conversation, stopping in the middle of a sentence with no idea how to continue, or repeating themselves. They might struggle with vocabulary, having trouble naming a familiar object, or using the wrong name for something, like calling a watch a hand clock. It's not about occasionally fumbling for a word. Everyone experiences that. It's a noticeable, ongoing pattern. Sign number 7. Misplacing things and losing the ability to retrace steps. We all misplace items occasionally, but in early Alzheimer's disease, a person may put things in unusual places, lose items, and be unable to go back over their steps to find them again. Over time, they may even accuse others of taking things, not out of malice, but because, from their perspective, the item simply vanished, and that's a genuinely distressing experience for them. That's 7 signs so far. And notice something important. None of these, on their own, mean someone has Alzheimer's disease. Many can be explained by other things entirely: vitamin deficiencies, thyroid issues, medication side effects, depression, or simply normal aging. But here's the thing: when several of these signs appear together, and especially when they represent a change from how someone used to function, that's when it becomes worth a conversation with a doctor. We've got 3 more signs to cover, and then, importantly, we're going to talk about what you can actually do with this information. Sign number 8. Decreased or poor judgment. This might show up as changes in decision-making, for example, falling for scams more easily, giving away large amounts of money, or paying less attention to grooming and personal hygiene than before. It's a subtle but significant shift, because judgment is something we rarely think about until it changes. Sign number 9. Withdrawal from work or social activities. Someone might start removing themselves from hobbies, social engagements, or work projects. This can happen because they'd re-noticing, even subconsciously, that activities have become more difficult, and withdrawing feels easier than struggling through them. From the outside, this can look like depression, and sometimes the two genuinely overlap, which is part of why early signs can be so hard to interpret. Sign number 10. Changes in mood and personality. This is often one of the most emotionally difficult signs for families to witness. A normally easygoing person might become confused, suspicious, anxious, or fearful. Someone might become upset more easily in situations where they used to feel completely comfortable. It's important to understand this isn't a character flaw or a choice. It's the brain processing the world differently, often while the person feels a growing, frightening sense that something isn't quite right, even if they can't articulate it. So now you know 10 early signs. But here's the question that actually matters. What do you do with this information? First, don't jump to conclusions, but don't dismiss patterns either. One forgotten appointment doesn't mean Alzheimer's disease. But if you, or someone you love, recognize several of these signs as a noticeable change from before, that pattern is worth paying attention to, not with panic, but with curiosity and care. Second, talk to a doctor and go in with specifics. Instead of saying, "I think something's wrong with my memory," it helps enormously to bring concrete examples. "I've gotten lost driving to my sister's house twice this month, and that route used to be automatic." Specific examples help doctors evaluate what's going on far more effectively than vague concerns. Third, remember that many of these signs have other explanations. Thyroid problems, vitamin B12 deficiency, certain medications, sleep disorders, and depression can all cause symptoms that overlap with early Alzheimer's disease, and many of these other causes are treatable. This is actually one of the most important reasons to get checked early. Sometimes, what looks frightening turns out to be something far more manageable. Fourth, if it does turn out to be related to Alzheimer's disease, early awareness opens doors. It allows for earlier access to support resources, the opportunity to participate in care, planning while the person can still meaningfully take part in decisions about their own future, and in some cases, treatments that may help manage symptoms more effectively when started in earlier stages. Fifth, approach the people you love with gentleness, not surveillance. If you're noticing these signs in someone close to you, the goal isn't to catch them out. It's to create a safe space where they feel supported, not judged, because for the person experiencing these changes, they're often frightening too, even when they can't fully express it. Let's go back to Robert for a moment. The man who paid his electricity bill twice, got lost on a familiar road, and repeated a story at dinner. None of those moments, alone, tell us anything for certain. But together, noticed with care rather than fear, they're the beginning of a conversation. One that could lead to answers, support, and time. Time to plan, time to talk, time to make the most of every good day ahead. Recognizing these 10 signs isn't about living in fear of every forgotten word or misplaced set of keys. It's about paying attention with love and knowing when a pattern is worth a conversation with a doctor and with the people you care about. If this video helped you understand these early signs a little more clearly, please take a moment to like it. It helps this information reach families who might really need it. If there's someone in your life this made you think of, consider sharing it with them. Sometimes a video says what's hard to say out loud, and if you've noticed any of these signs, in yourself or someone you love, feel free to share your experience in the comments. You're not alone in this. Subscribe if you'd like more clear, compassionate guidance on brain health and memory care. Thank you for watching, and take good care of yourself and the people you love.